welcome to Color Me Happy podcast. My name is Brandy Hofer, your host. Thank you so much for being here. I sure do appreciate it. How's everyone doing? How's everyone holding up? Tis the season, after all, of anxiety and breakdowns. I hope you're all doing well and looking forward to the good parts of the holiday season if you celebrate the holidays, like the family time and the good food. And, you don't have to get carried away. You don't have to have like an elaborate dinner or anything. Or this year, actually, we decided to do experiences versus gifts. So, for example, I asked my sister, who is Auntie Kay, to my kids, I'm like, please don't buy them any more crap. I am just bursting at the seams with plastic crap for the kids. And it causes anxiety and overwhelm and constant picking, stepping on that stuff. And I'm like, can you just do something with them? Like, I don't care what it is. You could take them to the gas station for gum. It just better not be a slime set or whatever. So she's actually taking them on a scavenger hunt, which is a great idea. And she's super creative and comes up with amazing ideas that I would never think of. So I'm excited for them to do that together. And then, I think my husband's taking the boys to the Oiler game today, which is another experience. And so he got them jerseys, and because they need big ones, because they've grown a whole lot, and spending a day watching hockey with them. And I'm not there, so even better. It took me many years to admit and not admit, but say out loud, because I come from a very passionate, amazing hockey community. I like their passion. My passion isn't for hockey. I like sports. I like playing them. I can't watch them. It's super boring. And I remember falling asleep on the living room floor while my mom watched hockey. Like, it was so boring. And then I pretended for a bit that I did like it. And I get it. It's neat. Don't be insulted. Everyone likes their own thing, and that is okay. Actually, I had a mom on. I recorded yesterday with a mom of 7, and we talked about you just have to accept people for who they are. If you accept people, you're going to float through life just a bit easier, a bit lighter, because it's a lot of time and energy not accepting and expecting people to do what you think they should do. Anyway, she was amazing. But today we have, I thought this would be like a big treat leading up to, I hope you're doing a whole lot of nothing. If you're hosting, that sucks. I'm hosting, but I gave the frozen turkey to my dad, who's a chef, because his love language is food. So, he watches you eat it, and he, waits for what you're going to say and stuff. So, I'm not going to rob him of the joy of cooking for us. I tried hosting. It fucking sucked. I'm a really good cook, but I have to cook 3 meals a day, and they're organic and homemade and all this stuff, and I'm tired. And Grandpa will cook it, and we'll have the best time, and we'll go sledding and just kick it as a family. It'll be amazing, and I hope you kind of approach the holidays with that same attitude, because it's just better. I'm not telling you yours is worse or anything. I'm sure you enjoy it, but if you don't want to have a holiday breakdown, which this is coming from experience of having those freak out, yelling at people, going into my art studio for a couple of hours to cool down sort of situations, which, by the way, have gotten some amazing paintings from. One year I was super featured on Saatchi Gallery for that angry painting that I did at Christmas. It was huge and cool. Anyway, relax, because what's the point if you're not? What's the point of it all? It's supposed to be fun and with your family or just chilling by yourself, whatever your lid for your pot is relax while you're doing it and don't take it so seriously. Okay, so holiday treat. Your holiday, non-holiday, if you don't celebrate, treat. Your treat is another episode with Heather, the relationship and sexpert. She said I couldn't say that, and I said it. Dang, sexpert. Yeah, it's so cheesy. Sorry, Heather. She listens too. She listens to the podcast because she's amazing. And smart, and I'm so happy that she came on again, but it's such a treat because it's something that we should talk about, we don't talk about regularly, and that's why it is so popular, I think. But everyone's like, oh, no one will know if I listen on this podcast that I'm I can't even say it. See, why am I ashamed? We're talking about sex. We're talking about touch. We're talking about how you can, you know what, just tune in. I'm the worst at explaining it, and Heather is the best. I get flushed and uncomfortable. I was dripping sweat after the episode. And what inspired the episode was motherhood and being touched out, which even if you're not in parenthood right now, like, it's just the season of like, I've had enough. And what can you do to come down from that? And what can you do to treat yourself and have permission and have a voice and ask for what you want? And I'm describing it. I won't. Okay, here it is. It's so good. I think they're all really good, but I love this one the most. If you haven't listened to Let's Talk About Sex, listen to it. It's really great. And if you haven't listened to the follow-up, Let's Talk About Sex Again, I encourage you to do so. You can listen to them all. You don't have to listen to them in order, but they're all good. And thanks for being here. I hope you have a wonderful holiday. Oh, and our book reading is today. Our book reading is today at Home Hardware at their Timber Cafe. It's the perfect time to do a book reading. Kind of leading up to just putting pressure on myself. I'm like, oh, I'll just go there and stand in a corner and my family will be there and I'll read. And it's so much bigger than I thought. And join if you can. It's at 1:30. We will be streaming live from Brandy Hofer Studios on Instagram. Or maybe Color Me Happy Community. Does that make more sense? Nah, it's Brandy Hofer Studios. And I decided right now that's where it will be. And so we're streaming live if you can't be here, if you're not local. I was practicing today. I'm like, I should probably practice once or twice, right? That's what authors do. I don't know. Message me and tell me. Is that what they do? I've never been to a reading, but I'm going to host one. Hey, you know what? People do things better than you, and people... And people have it all figured out, but really they don't. So don't pretend. I don't have it figured out, but it'll be fun. And I tried reading today, and I cried the whole time. So I'm going to probably cry tomorrow. I also laughed, though. So be there, be square, and enjoy this episode. My life, because it's just like, it's automatically on. Mm-hmm. It's there for them to, it's just like, it's silence, like, and I notice when it's like not playing or something, because like all of a sudden they're just like on me, like like flies to honey. And so yeah, audiobooks, like I plow through audiobooks by popping my AirPods in while I drive.
Okay, well that's a really good thing to think about, because I've never thought of putting my AirPods in and listening and just going that way, but
and like
probably get so much more done.
But they have to be distracted or it won't work.
Yeah, fair.
And I feel like everyone should put their AirPods in and boss Siri around while they drive, because I see everyone on their cell phone when they drive. Yeah. And just put your AirPods in. We know you want to do it. You know you want to text and drive, because I see people doing it all the time. Just text with your mouth.
Yeah, do that instead. Makes it so much safer.
Yeah. So Heather and I were just talking about my book, and I did voice it, so it's not like you make a joke and they're like, it's like a robot making a joke. I cannot handle when the author doesn't narrate their own book.
That's amazing.
Crazy. I can't even anymore. Like I've scrapped a few audiobooks because I'm like, I can't do this.
It's a robot. Yeah.
Yeah. So I make my own jokes and I laugh out loud in the book.
Beautiful. That's going to make it even better.
When I make them. I also cried a lot, which I'm not sure if it's a good or bad thing.
It's beautiful.
But yeah, it's exciting. Thank you. You've always been such a great supporter, and I'm really happy to have you back, Heather, with us, because you are by far our most popular episode. So I feel like it should be a regular topic because obviously people aren't talking about it a lot.
Yes, I agree.
Why do you think that is?
Oh, even going back to our first episode, which was almost a year ago now, just the stigma around, vulnerability and touch and sexuality and all of the things that go along with it make it tricky to come forward and say that something doesn't feel okay anymore. And then there's also a certain level of acceptance of like, this is how it should be. This is how a mom is supposed to feel, or how sex has always been for me, or how I perceive touch, and I just roll with it. And we don't necessarily stop and question it as much as maybe we could, and explore it or be curious a little bit more about what might be showing up for us. So
it's always changing, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Like, oh, it's hard. And that's actually why. So I love contacting you when I have personal problems. No, we have 3 kids. So, and I know a lot of people with kids, like it is always changing. Your body's changing, your hormones are changing. Like, I feel like hormonally at this point in our lives, it's like a roller coaster of what are you going to get? Is your hair going to fall out? Is your skin going to explode? Is your sex drive going to be non-existent, or is it going to be skyrocketing? Like, it's insane.
Yeah. It's there's so many unknown factors to it. And then I think even just all of what you just said, we sometimes have all of those things happen, or 3 of those things happen. And then we're still like, okay, well, that's what it means to be a mom, or that's what it means to be a woman. So I'm just gonna, tie up my sweatpants again and keep going. Like, there's not kind of just get this whole mentality where it can be hard to question what's been done for so long. Or it's hard to find the time to say, okay, well, I do need a break, or whether it's a financial barrier or a support system barrier. There's just all of these things can come up that it makes it tricky. It makes it challenging, and we're tired. So sometimes that self-care piece is another thing on the to-do list that we would rather not add.
And that's why I called you. That's why I wanted a session. So I have been I haven't been enjoying it as much because I've been so stressed out, and I don't want it to feel like something I have to do. Do you know what I mean? Like, it shouldn't ever feel like a chore, and to just be like, oh, that'll time over for a bit. Like, right. I finally hit a point where it was going that way, and I said, okay, I need to schedule it. I know it's not as exciting.
Yeah.
But like, it can't be during the week because I work at night, because he works during the day and I work at night, and we have 3 kids, and we have hockey 6 game things, practice and games is whatever games is. Oh, I'm so tired. So much hockey, plus everything. And I was like, Friday night is date night, and I feel better when there's a schedule, because then I know I'm not working. I will make that time to relax and just let's be together. And he was like, well, it's fine to just like fit it. I'm like, it's not fine for me. It's not fine for me because I want to make the good space. So I'm not thinking about this, and this, and what I didn't do, but I've actually, made the time, decompress, know it's coming, and I need the other stuff. I know you need these things, but I need this stuff. Because for me, it's not about the physical, it's about the emotion attachment. And for men and women, sometimes it can be very different. And I think that's coming into myself as a older woman or a mature woman. Like, I'm really asking for what I want and being really stubborn about it. And you know what? It'll be 2 weeks and it's improved things so much, just me asking for something. So
Mm-hmm.
how do we start these conversations with our partners? How, like, I know it can be scary, and we fought, like, we both got very defensive, and but we went forward and it was incredible. It was nice. And my solution won't work for everyone, but what's the like, how do you ease into that?
Well, before we go into that question, I want to acknowledge a few like amazing things that you've accomplished in the last couple of weeks. First, you got curious about what your barriers were and what your struggles were. So instead of like beating yourself up or saying, I'm just going to accept this, I'm going to be curious and I'm going to find out what will work for me. And so the second thing that you did was that is truly amazing, is that you put yourself out there to your spouse and said, this is what I'm needing. And I think that is one of the biggest pieces that needs to start happening more in any type of relationship, is expressing that I need more of this, I need less of this, I need a break, I need space, I need a touch in this certain way. So being able to start communicating about that. And yeah, he did have a difference of opinion, but you still advocated for something that you felt was really important. And there's just so many great things that you said there. So just highlighting those two things for sure, is that being curious and then starting that conversation is really critical. And then the other thing to consider with the story you're sharing too, is we're reducing stigma when we talk about scheduling sex. So there is a lot of stigma out there that the best sex is meant to be spontaneous and passionate and all of these things. Mm-hmm. But scheduling might be the best thing for couples that will fit their lives, that fits the busy schedules or the mentality that needs to come into play. So we don't want to necessarily like set scheduling aside and be like, I don't want my marriage to get to that means we've gone downhill, or whatever the mentality might be, but to add scheduling in as a form of foreplay. Because you could literally, like, what's today, Monday? So you got 4 days, right? You could shoot him a text tonight and say, I can't wait till Friday. You can build this beautiful anticipation beforehand where it keeps you connected and it's intimacy on a whole nother level.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. It can be playful and fun. It really, well, I haven't done it forever. It's just like been a week. Right. And a half, but like and when I messaged you, I said, I know what I want this to be called. I want it to be, I'm all touched out, mama, because it just like just like at the end of the day, and especially weekdays that are packed full, like it's just like nobody touched or talk to me. There's this woman, I wish I could remember her name, on Instagram, who talks about these things all the time. And she's like, at 5:00, and I know this isn't like, you are all going to judge me and say something in these notes, but I put my AirPods in. I'm still here. I'm still with them, but I put something on because there's so much, I'm just like done with stimulation.
That's what you do, or that's what she says she does?
She does. And
okay.
I have found I do it too now. Around that time, then I just make dinner. I'm just like, bloop, put them in. I just like, like PJ Masks and Paw Patrol has been on for almost 9 years. Yeah. Like, and then then YouTube's in the garage, and because it's like a quiet time, everyone's chilling, but there's so many, plus then Teddy wants this or that. Like, it's just like so much stimulation. And by that time you're like, whoosh, I just need to hear Grey's Anatomy doing surgery in my ear. That will make me feel better.
When I was thinking about what I could bring to the table for this conversation about feeling touched out, I actually went kind of down a rabbit's hole of reflection and research and going through some of my older resources and stuff. And And when we think of being touched out, it is that sensory overload that we're experiencing, right? So whether it's audio, whether it's a body sensation, we're just having too much of something, and our physical reactions are cringing from that, and we need that change. So I find it really interesting that going from the touched out day to plugging our AirPods in and overriding the sensory that we're experiencing with a shift, whether it's music or Grey's Anatomy, or whether we're taking a cold shower and changing up the mentality or the nervous system that way. And I think that there's a lot to be said if we shift the sensory overload to something completely different, that kind of jolts us out of that feeling cringed, like I can't do this anymore. I'm so overwhelmed with it.
But we don't have a choice. We have to get through it. Like,
yes,
if we don't make dinner, like, well, you can throw in a frozen pizza, but if you don't make dinner, no one's going to eat it. Like, if I don't, if myself or my partner doesn't do the dishes aren't going to get done. And there's no room for, just leaving them there, because then the next pile up happens. Like, in this point in our lives, like, there's no option for stopping, because everything depends on us moving forward all the time.
Yeah. And then shifting, it's that subtle shift that might just need to happen in order for us to keep going. So you put music in your headphones and put on a show for them and take 20 minutes of listening to something that motivates, inspires, or makes you feel like you're going to be the next doctor in Seattle. Like, all of that is...
I only put it on because I do listen to inspiring things and audiobooks and like things, but like I've overloaded on those too. Yeah, like, there is a point, like, what zones you out or what puts you to sleep. Some people like watch Friends to go to sleep because it's easy, it's fun, it's like, it's just like familiar. It's that, what is that? It's called something when you rewatch things because you know what's going to happen. So it's like a safety.
Well, it creates that familiarity. So we're not needing to deal with the unknown. So I can explain it from like a body perspective. For most of our days, we're stuck in our parasympathetic nervous system where we're go, go, go. And we're constantly in like a fight, flight kind of mode, basically, because we have so much to do as a society. And so when we go to the familiar, our system can actually feel safe and settled and soothed and calm for maybe the first time all day. Because there's nothing that's going to happen that's unknown. It's predictable, it's easy, so we can actually soften into that a little bit more.
Actually, my friend Jolene, she's the sweetest thing ever. When my book came out, she gave me this little like self-care package. But she's like, I usually listen to audiobooks at night to clean up, and then I couldn't turn yours off. It's like, I just couldn't, and I stayed away. And she's got 4 kids, so I was like, so yeah, you have to think about those things when you turn something on at night too. If you're nothing new, it's probably because it was just new, and she knew my family a bit, and so there's some like autobiographical stories in there that she just couldn't it was sweet, but I think we all do that in a way, is we all come back to the familiar, and you explained why.
Yeah, it's a body response to it for sure. And then there's also, like, if we go back to even just like sparking things with our partners or finding that type of connection too, there's comfort in the familiar within that too. And then there's also the desire piece that comes with something that's new or expressive in a whole new way. So it's even going back to you and speaking with your partner too, of this is what I need, this is what I'm wanting, this is what my body is craving right now, I need a change. We have to start to get comfortable with that type of language. And even just, I think the sentiment, and whoever is listening right now, if you were to say, I need, and fill in the blank, notice how that kind of thoughtfulness or intention behind expressing our needs, does it feel scary? Does it feel vulnerable? Do we have like an emotional reaction to being that connected to what our needs are and saying them out loud to someone we love? It can be messy, but it can be beautiful.
Both mixed together, because
Both
it
mixed
probably
together.
will be. No one likes to hear those things. It's a very vulnerable, place you're both in, and everyone's very different, but they're your partner. So I feel like those conversations are the most important conversations of all. And, I think to also, like, it's not just about the physical. Like, there are so many emotional aspects tied to it, right?
There are. And when I think of you telling Carly, like, this is what I need going forward, there's multiple reactions that he can have. He could get defensive. He could take that's his problem now, or it's something he's not doing well, or whatever it is. So sometimes we also need to hear the I need statement, not as an attack on us, but as an olive branch or as a bid for connection, to be like, okay, my partner is telling me something really challenging, and it's not my fault. It's just something we get to be curious about. It's something we get to move forward. So noticing some of those typical defense strategies that might come into play when we start to change our language around intimacy and vulnerability and what we need as a way to connect, is also something to consider too.
Mm-hmm.
There's just going beyond just the physical side of things too. Sometimes we need to expand what like physical touch can be as well, that we tend to jump to the one end of the spectrum. I have this beautiful little chart in front of me right now, but we tend to jump to one end of the spectrum when we're going to be closer connected with our partner, that it has to be a sexualized touch. But there's a whole continuum of touch that we can be a part of, that includes holding or rocking or sensory-based activities or playful touch, things like that make us think outside of the box, that it doesn't have to be this one way of connecting as well. Can be a really fun exploratory place to go.
Oh, really? Do you want to talk about some of those? Or because do you do that in your program, or
I would do more of those sorts of conversations in private practice, because everything's going to be unique from couple to couple or person to person about what they're comfortable with learning. And I think sometimes if we think about learning, it's actually unlearning what we believe intimacy should look like and figuring out what we want it to look like with our partner. So not only what my needs are, but what their needs are too. So I think, if you're touched out in a day, like let's say the kids have been sick, which I think, if you're a parent in our community right now, everyone's kids have been sick this fall. It's been such a disaster. But when you have sick kids, they're, boogering all over you and sneezing and hanging off
in your bed,
sleeping in your bed. And so, you've done a few days of that or a week of that or whatever it looks like. And it's okay. I gotta get some space. I've got to do that. But I also want to connect with my partner. But the thought of having to cater to someone else's needs again exhausts me.
Oh, fuck yeah.
So yeah, it really does. So I think, being able to say what kind of touch you're willing to be a part of. And maybe it has no sexualized intention at all. Maybe the touch that you need is your partner surrounding you with a cocoon of pillows and a heavy blanket and just turning the lights off. And that's how you're being held. And doesn't that sound really nice though? Like after a long day, just to be
so I can't say how this person is, I'll call them my friend. My friend is in a new relationship, and he she's like, I never knew I needed this, but he rubs my calves, and he said, lay down, I will just rub your shoulders. And she's like, I never thought I needed this so much, and I've never had it, and now that it's here, it's just
so nice.
She's like, we haven't taken the next step, but I don't know if I even want to, if this is what I get.
This feels good right now. Yeah, and actually, I love the massage example, because I think a lot of us might shy away from, oh, my husband said they'd give me a massage tonight. That's going to last 30 seconds before they're trying to do anything.
Yeah, that's such BS.
So if you have that assumption, or if you have that partner, okay, yeah, you can give me a massage, but this is what I want it to look like.
Mm-hmm.
This is what
Yeah,
my
that's
body
really
needs.
good.
You can
Even
do
if I
it
like
if I
touch
need this
my
right
my partner gets really excited, and
now.
he is the greatest partner, and he is up for like anything. Very,
Mhm.
very receptive to my needs. Always
Yeah,
has been, and it's been great. But like I like will grace his arm and be like, tonight, yeah.
yeah,
It's
yeah.
like I know. just I just can I love you without, and so
Hmm.
maybe I need to create a boundary being like I can touch you without it meaning we're going to hit the sheets, right?
Yeah. And I think even a way to do that too is to say, oh, like, even those little acknowledgments, like if he were to walk by and just put his hand on your low back, I like when you touch my low back like that. Short and simple.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's very directive, right? This was a nice touch for me in this moment. So being able to verbalize when it's a sexualized touch too. And finding those little pockets of moments that feel really good where there is no sexualized intention. And sometimes when I work with couples too, is I actually encourage them to touch more, but have no sexual intent with it. Like remove sex from the table entirely. Whether
Mm-hmm.
you do it for a week or you do that for a month or whatever you feel you need in your healing or your break or your space, is to remove it. And you have to find different ways of being close. And whether that includes a grazing of the arm or playful touches with like a sensory basket, or simply just holding each other, hugging each other, rocking against each other. Like there's so many ways that we can play with touch that can reshape how we view it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I love that. I think that's such a useful tool
Mm-hmm.
for everyone because and a lot of people aren't matched up to on the like I will just continue just being like a friend.
Yeah.
And it's not always male, female, or male, or
Yeah.
it's the person. Everyone has different needs, right?
Mm-hmm.
And my friend is much more needy in the way than her husband, which so like you just somewhere have to like meet in the middle, right?
Yeah, you do have to meet, and communication, it comes down to just talking about it. More we can talk about it, the easier some of this stuff is to move through. One of my favorite questions to teach partners is, like, if I were to ask you right now, how does Carly like to be cared for? Can you answer that?
What do you mean, like in life or
I'm not going to give any clues. Just
every meal?
how does he like to be
Every,
cared for?
how do I care for him throughout the day? I definitely I communicate through my and always have love language of food.
That's how you show care, but how
And
does
he
he?
loves to eat.
Okay.
No, it's like been since the beginning. I remember like packing him a lunch and we didn't live together or anything. Like it was the first week of dating. And I was like, we'll drop this off to them there outside. They all, Jean worked and Carly at the landscape company.
Yeah.
I worked there at one point too.
That's
Didn't
awesome.
say I accomplished a lot, but I worked there. And I made him like a brie and ham sandwich and some cherries and like a nice lunch, and his sister was like, he is gonna marry you. Yeah, that was like the first week of us dating. So that's always been like a way that I've cared for him. And I do remember those early days of like I was a very caressing person, although yeah, into motherhood, it's like, I'd love to get back to that because in motherhood, it just kind of, you get touched out and tired and you forget about each other almost, right?
Mm-hmm.
And actually, I'm going to be really honest, and we don't sleep in the same bed because everyone gets up 1,000 times a night. So if that half of the house gets up over there, then the other half doesn't get up over there. And we actually mentioned this at a party the other like a month ago. And I'm like, yeah, we don't sleep together. And you know what? We kind of both love it. Like we both love it. And then people weren't judgy and they were really nice. And then one couple started, they were like, we do, but this, they started fighting about. And I was like, because I'll tell you why. It's because he goes to bed an hour and a half after I do. So then I'm not mad and yelling at him an hour and a half after I go to bed. And the kids get up, and it's just worked for us for the last couple of years. Yeah. And then they literally got into it about what the other person does that pisses them off at bed, like during the night. And it was like funny, but I'm like, and then I was like, that's why we don't sleep together. That is proof in the pudding right there.
It is.
But other people like have said, oh my gosh, are you guys okay?
Yeah.
Like, we're great.
There's a stat I read.
We meet in the bed at certain times.
Well, and that's where planning will come into it, because if you're not sleeping in the same bed, you need to be slightly strategic about when and where and how you're going to be close.
Oh, if he tried to wake me up for sex at this point, I would maybe hit him with the lamp.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah. We spent about a year sleeping apart because Gene has sleep apnea and his sleep apnea machine got recalled. We cannot sleep in the same room if he doesn't have a sleep apnea machine because his snoring is so bad. So we did some research to it.
I know. So our husbands are longtime friends. So I got stuffed in a cabin once with Gene. He was on the top bunk and I was on the bottom, and I opted to sleep in the car.
Yeah.
Instead of the same room as Gene. It's so bad.
It's so bad. But when he has a sleep apnea mask, great, no problems at all. So when we were needing to sleep apart because of that and our sanity and our health and wellness, we were looking into it, like how many couples do sleep apart, and it's 25%, like 1 in 4. So it's a lot higher than I think folks realize. But then in those moments too, you do have to be communicative. Like, when are we going to see each other? How does this look for us in a connective way? And have those conversations. And even going back to scheduling it, like you can have a standing date of Friday nights, and that's awesome. But maybe it's like, okay, so this week I'm free Tuesday, but you're free Thursday. So maybe we'll squeeze it in on Sunday. And like, you can, look at it week to week. So there's lots of fun ways to do it that doesn't have to make it feel like a chore, but it makes it feel like a challenge or an accomplishment or just a way to be together that fits the two of you. No comparisons necessary.
I think why I was so excited about, not throwing in extra whatever, and if it was just there, I was ready. I was like, trust me. And I wanted to show him, like, I'm like, trust me, it will be better. I will be more present. I will be happier. And it was just getting to the point where, it was going to become some sort of like, why is this happening? And I knew why it was happening, but I didn't want it to become like some sort of complex where, like, we're really lucky. We have a really great connection that we haven't had to work super hard on. And so I'm like, I want to get back to, where I feel like myself and not exhausted so much.
Yes. Yeah.
And that was life. That was life. Like it's just, there's so many things
for you, right? Like that's the bonus is that it's working. You made a shift, you tried something new, and it's feeling better for your mind, heart, and body. And now I'm thinking, man, we're going out for supper on Friday night. Are we impacting your date, your scheduled date?
We'll be fine. We'll be totally fine. I'm really excited. That's an emotional, like, that's a fun thing to connect with friends, and we're a very open, we have a friendship where we can talk about whatever. I think last time we went out, Jean suggested period panties at some point in the conversation. So that's where the comfort level is. And I love it so much.
So good. Yeah.
He's like, Brandy, have you tried period panties? I'm like, oh my gosh, Heather is so your partner. It's so great. You guys are the greatest. Like,
well, I think you're doing wonderful. A lot of the inspiring here. Like, I think anyone taking stuff away from this, it's to kind of step slightly out of our comfort zones and say what our needs are. And when we are feeling touched out too, like, I think being able to verbalize that when your partner makes eyes at you and you're like, oh my God, I got to make up an excuse. Like, try maybe just saying exactly where you are at. I'm so touched out. The only concept of closeness that I need right now is this. Can you give that to me or no? Right? Mm-hmm. So being able to do that. And I think the more that we even verbalize our touch needs in general, whether it's being cocooned or just having our shoulders or our calves rubbed or whatever, the easier it becomes to maybe verbalize some of the more trickier things with sex, like, I don't like your signature move, or this is not something that I want to try at all, or I really want to try this new thing I saw or read about. So we start to see this ripple effect of being able to communicate more about our body needs.
Mm-hmm. And listeners can go back to the earlier episodes because we did touch on, oh gosh, it's hard to say. I don't like re-listening to them because, again, I'm like drenched in sweat right now. It's not like I love talking about this stuff. It's because I believe it's truly important. And my journey has gotten me to the point where I feel like women need to communicate their needs more. Yeah. But if you go back, there's talk about,
we talked about solo sex practices and overcoming some of that fear and shame. We talked about how our emotions can come into it and overcoming some of those big emotions and beliefs and stereotypes that impact maybe why we're not having the pleasureful sex that we want to. And I think the one part I really like talking about is just lessening the emphasis on the orgasm and focusing on the momentary pleasure that's happening right now. So there's lots of good stuff in those two episodes to take a listen at.
Oh, it's so good. And to, instead of like, when you're talking with your girlfriends and they have a problem and you can't say anything, like this would be something you could recommend to them and say that, I heard these two gals talking about this and I think you'd love it. I think you'd love it, right? Like, or your partner, I think these are the only podcasts, and I wish he wouldn't, but I think these are the only podcasts of my podcast he's listened to.
Jean's listened to all of them too.
Oh, he's so great.
He's good. And I do like, this is, a passion area of mine to have these conversations and truly unpack as women, for sure, what we were exposed to growing up and why it can be so challenging to move through some of this. And that's basically what my private practice is focused on, is being able to have these conversations in a safe and confidential way and try and find some of those shifts in our lives that make sense.
And it is so personal. Everyone's journey is unique and everyone's needs are unique. And I wanted to talk about this way back, but or I just wanted to make a comment, about how things change and but one thing I am grateful for is that I am not at the point where I am in the dating pool and have to learn someone's new everything, especially because even as a mother, things have changed and moved and got less comfortable or more comfortable here with scarring and I'm sorry if you haven't had a baby, damage.
Sorry.
What is the movie where she's like, I can sit on a fire hydrant and not feel a thing?
Oh, I have no idea, but that's hilarious.
She's like, nothing down there.
I completely understand. I have said this on multiple occasions, that I never want to have to get to know a new penis again. And that's just my way of thinking about it. Like, I love the one that I'm with, and that's where it's at. But like having to conceptualize and get to know somebody else and have to teach someone else my needs all over again.
I'm super bossy, so I would have trouble with someone who like didn't take my directions.
Yeah.
I'd be like, what is this?
Yeah. No, there's a reason we're with who we're with. And if you are in the dating pool and still searching, you know, the best thing to take away from this is communicate your desires and needs as much as you can.
As early on as possible.
Yeah.
So that you both know what you're dealing with.
Mm-hmm. And I love to think about it as like we're learning together. So this isn't meant to be like a shaming thing. Oh, he doesn't know what to do, or he sucks at this, or anything like this. It's a skill that can be taught and learned. And like women's bodies are so complex and amazing. And some days it's going to work super easily, and other days it's going to take more effort and more energy and more space for grace. So being gentle with our bodies too, and understanding that it's not going to look like the movies or pornography is a huge stigma we have to overcome.
Mm-hmm. And I think we mentioned this in another episode, but the Goop, right. Is that still on Netflix?
Oh, I have no idea.
I'll put it in the notes, because I think that's that's a really liberating. I actually can't believe it went on Netflix. Like, I really can't believe it did.
There's that one, and I can send a couple of books to Brandy to put in the notes that have truly changed my perspective on my body and being able to understand that. And I highly recommend a few of them for other women that are going down this journey as well.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Are you searching?
Here we go. Found it.
Oh, yes.
Good. I would love to read them.
Yes. Or listen to them. I wonder if they have them on audiobooks. I'm such a reader that I don't go to audiobooks very often, but I'm going to try. I'm going to take your advice.
Yeah, it's definitely like, it's just so great. And like, even if you have 5 or 10 or whatever, 7 minutes, audiobooks are just like, I love self-help motivation, and I love to do like business work research. Like, you know, I love Jenna Kutcher and like stuff that like gets me like going. So I'm like ready to, and so it's just the only way it fits into my life right now. Okay, I found it. It's called The Pleasure Is Ours. And it says, going from real vulvas to true vulnerability, Gwyneth and the team plunge into the topics of women's pleasure, guided by sex educator Betty Dodson. And she takes it's like a co-owned practice.
Okay.
And you haven't seen it?
I haven't seen it. No.
Okay. So
it's on my list now.
Woman takes the co-owner. I think I haven't watched it for a while. She takes through the first like real woman's orgasm on like whatever ever basically on Netflix, and it's so beautiful. Like, and each woman has a different partner, has a different issue, like they're all working through something. I believe that's it. I'll confirm it and put it in the notes. I'll rewatch it tonight. But I will always remember, I was like, how is this on here, first of all? And I'm like, this is so important.
But isn't it wild that we question the legitimacy of something being on a public streaming site?
Because, when we think about porn.
Well, it's all over the place, but it's not Netflix.
Throw out some hard facts about the, that there's been no research on vulvas or the anatomy of women, and like, it's shocking.
Yeah.
I also on Instagram get fed like some funny feminist things because the algorithm knows me.
Yeah.
But someone hit feminist, I think it is feminist on Instagram, hit the streets and asked men. So each part, and I can't even name them all. That's how, we just don't know a lot about it.
Mhm.
And so they asked men, what they thought this was, and they were like, I think it's not one of them knew.
No, it was hilarious. I saw that too.
You saw
And I find it priceless and just emphasizes the need to learn with our partners. Like they guess or they will guess until they are told. And like they also have to understand, and we as women have to understand too, that every vulva, every clitoris, every woman's body is going to be so uniquely crafted that it's not going to be a one size fits all.
Mm-hmm.
So being able to embrace that not only from a female perspective, but from a male perspective, from all gender perspectives, that our genitals will look different and respond differently, I think just needs to be a huge acceptance piece that our growing generations, I would love to see embrace.
Mm-hmm. Oh, gosh, yeah. Coming out of, our generation of, just shoving everything under a rug.
Yeah.
And not talking about it. I think they will. I think there's just so much more information out there and ways to get information. So,
yeah.
Hold on. I have a shadow just going back and forth on the door here. What's up, buddy? Hi. What's up? You're just bored? Yeah. You can draw if you want.
Where?
You can set up Art Hub.
I don't want a Art Hub.
Okay. You can do collaging at the table. Finn was doing collaging.
Okay.
Okay. Go for it. I stopped working at night and then I started again because Teddy had a 3-hour nap in the afternoons.
Yeah.
So I would work in the afternoons and Gus was at school and then he didn't nap and then I just didn't get to work for months and months. I was working, but not great times.
Yeah.
And now that I come down and my partner's been really helpful and being like, yeah, I'll do all the stuff and you go down and work. Now they've been kind of like coming back into the studio again and it's been so nice. Because they actually do get sick of YouTube, turns out.
Yeah, that's a good thing.
Yeah, no, exactly. And they have a space for themselves to create and express themselves and in a different way because it changes at every age. So
no, that's awesome.
Always. Yeah. But I think this was great. And where can everyone find you online?
At Joyful Living Counseling on Instagram is the best way to find me. And then it links to all of my website and private practice info and everything like that too.
What is your website?
www.joyfullivingcounseling.ca.
Okay. And I'll have that in the notes too.
Yeah.
You work one-on-one online as well with couples?
I don't do virtual counseling with couples. I'd prefer to do that in person. It just makes it really tricky when I have two screens and I can't make eye contact with people. So it's, but I do offer couples counseling in person, and then I do individual sessions either online or in person as well.
Mm-hmm. And you also have a beautiful it's what did you call it again? Sorry.
My Yintimacy program.
Yintimacy,
so
that's what
that just as an alternative way of communicating and feeling close and intimate with our partners utilizing yin yoga instead of words. And it is a really lovely program that couples can access. And it's not a counseling focused one. I don't offer any counseling unless you book that separately. But I'll just guide you through, and there's some at-home reflection exercises to do and some ways to communicate about that as well.
Beautiful. Thank you, Heather. I love having you on. One of my friends was like, she's so well spoken. I was like, yeah, when you put her next to me and I string together maybe 1.5 sentences and then she does like 6 good ones. Sure.
You did great. I love being here. Thank you so much for having me. I will come back anytime. It's always lovely and a blast. And, you know, we get to have our date this week too, which is really nice. So
huge treat. We only canceled like 3 times leading up to the actual day. If we do once or twice a year, I am so happy. I love friends where you can just, no one judges and you just pick up where you left off.
It is what it is.
Yeah. It's the best.
I love it too.
Okay. Thank you for listening. I hope everyone again takes my advice and like chills out hard. Something I actually take, and it's not what's it called? It's not like microdosing or the mushrooms, like the hallucinogenics. I can't do that stuff. In fact, I want to have someone talking. I want like a naturopath to come on. I think that'd be so cool. Talking about just like gut health, and yeah, I'm gonna do it. I think it's really important. Anyway, I've been on that journey hard, and I take mushrooms, but like lion's mane, reishi, like not ones that are medicinal in any way. But they chill me out. I still have like lots of energy, but like less anxious energy. And I thought she was crazy when she told me, I don't like to use the word crazy. I thought she was out to lunch. I was like, I don't believe that these will chill me out, but you try me. I really have nothing to lose at this point. They worked. She was right with a whole bunch of other stuff. Anyway, it's pretty cool. Take some nice mushrooms that aren't non-hallucinogenic, or look into it. Look into it a bit. Just like Google the benefits of a mushroom blend. You can even order, like, it's super easy. You can order mushroom blends on Amazon. Why am I talking about mushrooms? Oh my gosh. Super off topic and no reason at all. Again, later today, 1:30, my book reading. I won't talk about mushrooms, hopefully, and but I'm sure I'll bring up something random. You can count on that because I will get nervous, and that's what happens. Oh my gosh. No, I'm not. Will I tell you this story? Yeah. Oh, no. I don't know. I'm comfortable. Okay, I should stop now. So I have some big announcements in the new year. One announcement I can tell you about is I got funding. If you think back to when I went to New York in September, I got a grant to do that. That was really big, exciting news from the Canada Council for the Arts. And so I'm really proud. I haven't announced that yet. So you're hearing it first because you're a part of my podcast and my Color Me Happy community, which is free to join on Facebook. And I welcome you to join there and share there anytime. The link is in the notes for you to do so. We share this weekly inspiration. So our podcast with, if you look into the notes, there's always a little gem of weekend inspiration to help you out. That's actually what our book is essentially. It's like autobiographical, self-help, motivational, like to get you feeling good. The podcast is to make you feel more human. Like we're all in this together trying to figure it all out. No one knows what's to come and no one knows what the hell they're doing. So it's to make you feel a little less alone. And honestly, I've made so many amazing friends and met so many spectacular people. I want to thank you all for being here and being a part of that. Because if only 2 people were listening, I would probably stop, I guess. I don't know. It's tough to say. But it's like meeting new friends weekly, and it's really special. So feel free to reach out anytime and or check out who's been on. It's been a really great journey. You can still get my book in time for the holidays. It's Color Me Happy, written by myself, Brandy Hofer. It comes with a free audio download. I narrate it and cry and laugh the whole time, and or get interrupted by my children. So it's very raw, just like the podcast. Not as raw. I hired editors. Same with the book. Hopefully it doesn't have that many mistakes. Every book, by the way, has mistakes, so at some point you just have to put it out into the world. But on my mushroom rant, I could have at least segued into why I got on that, and it was because of Vanessa at Nouveau Laser and Aesthetic Center, skin stuff, but skin and happiness, they go together. When you feel good in your own skin, feels good. Feels so good. And okay, let's give a myth and fact from Nouveau. I'm not sure if I did this one yet, but it makes sense. Myth: darker skin tones don't need sunscreen because they don't burn. So fact: all skin tones need SPF, and the UV rays penetrate the skin, causing damage even if there is no burn. Oh, so that's for me. I never wear sunscreen because I'm pretty dark. But I do love their color science. And it just happens to be an SPF, but it's like a color matching sunscreen, but it like matches the tone of your face, so it like covers up all my acne scars. I love it. Which are more scars now because I'm on a skin healing journey, gut healing journey. Freaking women hormones, they're the worst. That's why we have to have someone on to like get people on the right track. Agreed? Do you think I can get a doctor to agree to come on here? I did ask one recently and they looked at me like, thanks, but no thanks. I'll keep trying for you all. Mine is really cool, so I feel like she might say yes. She's quite the kook too. Should I say that? She's in the best way, like quirky cool. And she talks really fast, and you can tell her mind is like brilliant and working super fast. I'm going to see if she will come on. Anyway, okay, darker skin tones are just as likely to deal with hyperpigmentation issues, if not more so. Okay, yeah, I get that. I hear you. I hear you, Nouveau. Thanks for the fact. And I just don't like putting extra stuff on all the time. We got enough to do. But I will follow your advice. Thank you to Oasis Hot Yoga and Spin Studio, because they provide a beautiful space in our community for you to connect back to yourself and time alone, which we all need. Like, you need it, especially now. And to Red Bicycle Communications, a whole women-owned and women-run place. They're an advertisement company. Business? Oh, sorry. They're amazing, and they do really stunning work, and I've worked with them for a long time, and Jill actually came on and talked about how and why she founded her business and where it's going, and it's a good podcast. It's one of our top ones, and we didn't talk about sex, so of course it's not the top one. It's just not as hot of a topic. Okay, anyway, thank you. I'm glad to be supported by female-owned businesses in our community, as I am one myself, and was nominated this year by the Chamber for the Women in Business Award, which was quite the honor and pretty cool. Lloydminster is the place that I call home in the quiet Canadian prairies, and I couldn't do it without them. They are one heck of a special community, and couldn't do what oh my, here it comes. Okay, I'll tell you. So you stayed to the end, so good job. I'm sure many people turn off my rambles, but if you stayed, you get the big news, which I'm announcing in the new year, in more February, speaking at the women's conference here. Inspiring Women's Conference, sorry. You could take tickets to that. It's really good. Anyways, big news. We have gotten the go-ahead on a 130 by 20 foot mural. That's all I'll tell you. and it's happening July 2023. That's all I'll tell you. I'll tell you more soon. It's quite an incredible story and journey, and I will tell you the whole story because it's like almost a 2-year long one. And of course it's all happening at once. My book comes out, I get the mural job, the art academy with our local school system. When it rains, it pours. It's funny because 2 years ago I was on this like transformational journey. I'm like, what if I did this? What if? And I'm like, in search for people saying yes. And then all of a sudden everyone said yes, and now I have to do it all. But I'm so jazzed to do it and very honored and excited to have the privilege to do so and represent these amazing establishments in our community, and in turn, which allow me to give back, which is more big news when I tell you the whole long story in the new year. Because, by the way, I'm taking a break because I fucking need one. And I will tell you the whole story of how I get to give back to the community because of these community projects. And it's, special. Okay, special friend, rest up, chillax, get yourself some happy mushrooms, not the crazy, the ones that are scary. I find them scary. I mean, you do you, but I find those scary. Find yourself the chillax mushrooms and don't. Enjoy your holiday season. Okay, I'm gonna go. 10 minutes. It's a record for signing out because I can't say goodbye. Bye. If you're looking for some time for yourself to relax, release, and unwind, Oasis has the perfect space for you. They offer yoga and spin classes of all levels. Whether you are a beginner or advanced student, Oasis thrives on accommodating all aspects of the practice. Let their serene environment and gracious staff help you in your journey of peace, healing, and strength. Sign up online at www.oasishotyogastudio.com or by downloading the Oasis Hot Yoga Studio app. Feel like yourself. You deserve it.